Thank you everybody for coming out today. I really appreciate it. My name is Deb Burton, and as Father Sunil said, I am the founder and executive director of RI Elder Info. We're a nonprofit here in the state, and it started because I found, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, there's a lot of
You
noise
need me a little louder?
We need to close that back there.
Oh, okay. I think we might be able to move maybe the speakers a little forward too. That might be an option. There we go. Yeah, we don't want to have any squeals. So I started the nonprofit after having been an elder care consultant and case manager. My background is in gerontology, and the way that translates is I nerd out about all things aging. So the federal level, the state, the local community, and it's really important that we're aware of what we can do ourselves to remain independent as we age. Because I think as much as people say the hardest 3 words to say is I love you, I really think the hardest 3 words to say is I need help. It can be very challenging. So I've been working in the healthcare and public health space for over 30 years, even though I'm only 21. And in all that time, I've talked to thousands of people. I've only met one person who ever said they wanted to go into a nursing home. So let me just take a quick poll. Is there anybody here who just really can't wait to go to a nursing home? Yeah, no, I didn't think so. And you know what? There's a time and place for everything for someone, okay? So I'm not trying to bash long-term care at all. But we don't talk about a lot of the things that we can do to remain independent. So I'm going to walk you through a story. Please feel free to interrupt if you have questions. Just know we are being recorded, so you might not want to share your personal story with the entire world. And I'm welcome to stay after and answer questions if people would feel more comfortable doing that. Okay? Because I want people to, respect their own privacy, that kind of thing. So the first thing you can do to stay independent as we age is to avoid falling down, right? But we don't talk about how do you actually do that, because nobody is actually ever thinking, oh, I'm bored today, I think I'm going to fall down. I got nothing better to do, I'm going to fall down. And so, of course we know, pick up cords and pick up your throw rugs. But we don't often think about when the doctor says, have you fallen down? No, I haven't fallen down. I tripped over the dog. I slipped on some water. I don't know, I keep catching my feet when I walk. And sometimes I go down hard on the couch or the chair, or I grab the wall. Those are things to have a conversation with your doctor about. Because your doctor may be able to order physical therapy or occupational therapy to get your legs stronger. Okay? Now, how many people, at least you might not love this because I'm going to be a little lower for the camera. How many people, when you're sitting down, it's 1, 2, 3, and then you go all the way over. That momentum takes you a little further than expected. Instead of being able to have the leg strength to sit down and stand up. So you want to keep your legs strong. And it's a conversation that you want to have with your doctor to see if there's some coverage for physical therapy or occupational therapy to keep your legs stronger. The second leading cause of falling we don't often think about, and that's called polypharmacy. Now, polypharmacy is where you take medication number 1 exactly as the doctor prescribes, and then you take medication number 2, and there's some side effects. So you take medication number 3 and 4, and on it goes. And those drugs start interacting with each other. So let me give you a real-life example. The weather, not so pretty today. It can make the arthritis kind of hurt. Okay? Your doctor has given you something to take care of that pain. And so you take that pain medication because the arthritis is really bad today. And you're not doing anything wrong because you're doing exactly what the doctor has prescribed, right? Oh, it's spring. And so everything, pollen, everything's blooming, so you get that in the back of your throat. And so you throw down some Benadryl. And then sometimes, as we get older, sleeping through the night becomes a little bit more challenging. So maybe the doctor's giving you something to help you sleep at night. Those 3 medications can interact with each other and make it harder when you have to get up. Because I'm fairly confident I'm not the only one that gets up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And what happens, right? You're laying down, you get up fast, which right away leaves your head spinning even on a good night. You are in a hurry, and now you have 3 medications on board that are more likely to leave you more woozy, more loopy, a little harder to get going. And you're in a hurry to get to the bathroom. So it's really important that you consider all of the medications you take, whether that's vitamins, supplements, allergy medicine, cold medicine, your regular prescriptions. And what you can do is call your pharmacist ahead of time so they know you're coming, throw them all in a bag, and ask the pharmacist to review if there's any drug interactions. So for some people, they take fluid pills that makes them go to the bathroom more frequently. And maybe that's not the medication that you want to take at, say, 7 o'clock at night. Just saying. So have that conversation with the pharmacist. Now, the pharmacist does not have the authority to change your medication at all. What they can do is give you suggestions to talk to your doctor about. And your doctor can change that prescription. The doctor can make adjustments or say, oh, that's going to interact with your blood pressure medication. That might interact with this other medication. Don't do that. And your doctor and your pharmacist can work together to help you to keep you safe. Okay? So let's say you're still getting up in the middle of the night, gotta go to the bathroom. Your bathroom is your most dangerous place in your house. And we often don't think about it, okay? As much as people maybe don't necessarily love my next recommendation, it's kind of important. You want to have grab bars in your bathroom. And people are like, oh, Dad, but I don't like the big steel bars. I don't like the big white bars. I don't want that. Got it. Understand. There are some out there that look like a soap holder or something that does not look silver or white or industrial. When put in appropriately, they will hold you when you fall. Yeah, I'm fine. So maybe this is something that might sound familiar to you. You're in the shower, right? So step 1, you've got to climb over the tub. That might be okay. You're in the shower, you're soaping all up. You wash one foot and you put it down. You wash the other foot and you put it down. You are now standing on 2 soapy feet. And what do? You hold on to the soap holder that's attached to the wall with grout. And you turn yourself around, and next thing you know, you find yourself on the floor still holding the soap holder in your hands because it ripped out. And you say, oh my, I am wet on my bathroom floor, still holding the soap holder. Somebody needs to call 911. If you have grab bars put in, and put in properly, when you lose your balance, it's going to hold. And the reason I recommend having it done by someone who, an organization or business that actually knows what they're doing. Most of our housing stock here in Rhode Island is old housing stock. So my house is from 1890. There is nothing square, true, or plumb in the house. My wall joists go where the tree grew. And so it's really important that you have an expert put these things in so that you're not just drilling into sheetrock and now that screw is going to pull back up. So it's important that you put the grab bars in your bathroom. So again, nobody ever plans to fall. You can take every precaution And that fall might still happen. And I say fall, that's the statistical probability that happens. It's not just a stereotype, it's just a matter of numbers. And when you fall, you're more likely to break a hip. And somebody said to me, Deb, why a hip? I don't understand. Like, why are my hips breaking? Well, because your hip socket is actually here too. And we tend to land on our bottoms when we are trying to land as softly as possible. And the hip breaks. Okay, so the hip is broken. You're on that bathroom floor still holding the soap holder because you heard Deb say that at church, but then didn't actually follow through. So you've got that soap holder. You're on your way to the emergency room. You're over at Westerly Hospital, South County Hospital. Doctor comes in and says, okay, we've got to pin that hip. You need to have hip surgery. Who's your healthcare power of attorney? What? Everybody. In here, out there, everybody over the age of 18 should have a healthcare power of attorney. Somebody that can make your decisions known when you can't make your decisions known. So what that looks like in this scenario, the doctor says, oh, you need to have surgery. Okay, I want it fixed. Okay, sign off. You go up for surgery, you're under anesthesia. You can't make your decisions known. Your healthcare power of attorney is in effect. You get out of surgery, you're in recovery, everything's all loopy. Your healthcare power of attorney is still in effect. You get up to your room, you're coming out of anesthesia, and you're like, woohoo, this really hurts. Oh my. Your healthcare power of attorney is no longer in effect. Still a valid document, but no longer in effect, because you can make your decisions known. Everybody over the age of 18, I can't stress this enough, needs to have a healthcare power of attorney. And somebody said, well, Deb, if I name my daughter as my healthcare power of attorney, she's going to throw me in a nursing home. It doesn't work like that. It does not give someone the authority to do anything that you would not want done if you were able to make those decisions. We retain our rights to make bad choices throughout our life. That doesn't change as we get older. So in this scenario, you've had your hip surgery. Discharge planning at the hospital is going to say, all right, you've got to get some rehab done. Okay. Well, here's a whole list, and it's quite a stack of papers. Where do you want to go? I don't know. I never looked at this. I never thought about this. You guys are all going to be ahead because now you're going to drive home thinking about this. You're going to be ahead of the game. Most people have not had this thought. And so you have a right to choose where you are discharging to for rehabilitation. And it's the discharge planner at the hospital who is responsible for making sure that that place that you would like to go to has an opening, can meet your needs, and takes your insurance. So, we will say that you've picked a facility, you have been discharged there, you are now in the rehab facility, or the skilled nursing rehab. Sometimes those terms are used interchangeably. And physical therapy comes in and says, come on, we got to get you up and walking. I'm not getting up and walking. The hospital did not let me sleep. I am in a lot of pain. I am not getting up and walking. Okay. And day 2 comes. And physical therapy and occupational therapy come in and say, come on, you gotta get up, we gotta get you walking. Medicare will only cover so much time. You've got to get up and get walking. Yeah, but I didn't sleep here last night either. This bed is not comfortable. Everything's kind of stiffening up. I'll do it tomorrow. Day 3 comes, PT/OT come in and say, we've got to get you up. We've got to get you walking down the hall. We've got to practice stairs. And you're like, oh my goodness, I can't. Medicare will say, you've refused 3 days in a row. You're done. We're not paying. Oh, but my bathroom's upstairs. How am I going to do this? Oh, yeah. That's something to think about. The facility might say, well, you're welcome to stay long term. but we need to know how are we going to pay for it. Because you see, Medicare does not pay for long-term care. And a lot of times people get Medicare and Medicaid mixed up. Very common. So if we think about Medicare, we care for our aging and our disabled. Okay? Medicaid, we aid our poor. Many older adults are both. So in order to be eligible for Medicaid, to have the state help you cover the costs of your care, your liquid assets, and I can't provide legal or medical or estate planning advice, but your liquid assets need to be $4,000 or less. So your checking, your savings, your cash value of your life insurance policy, $4,000 or less here in Rhode Island. Income under roughly $2,300 a month. And then Medicaid can kick in and help cover the cost of long-term care. Now, part of the application process is it says you have 6 months to get better and go home, and you can retain some funds to keep paying for your apartment in the community, but at month 6, they don't allow that. All the cost of your care needs to be paid to the extent that you're able to. And a lot of times people think, oh, the nursing home just wants all my money. Well, not really true. So I don't like doing math, so I'm going to keep it really simple. On average, the cost of a nursing home on one day, a shared room, is $312 a day. Now, that is literal average. The cheapest, the most expensive, divide by 2. Many facilities actually, it costs $400 or $500 per day for you to remain there, okay? So we'll say, under Social Security, all your income comes to $950 a month. Well, $312 a day on average, you can afford to pay about 3 days. Medicaid makes up the rest. Under the state regulations, you get to keep $50 a month. That's it. All the rest of your income needs to go towards the cost of your care. But when you think about it, you really are only able to pay for 3 days. So it's not that the nursing home wants all your money. They want you to pay to the extent that you're able, and then Medicaid picks up the rest. And that is a function of the Medicaid program. And you think $50, that's not really a lot. No, it's not. And I can tell you right now there's legislation pending at the State House to increase that to $100 a month, which is still not a lot of money if you think about maybe 1 month you need a new pair of sneakers, maybe you need some new clothes on occasion. So just something to think about. Otherwise, if you have the ability, you certainly could write out a check for roughly $10,000 a month. Most facilities will be very happy to see you. Which is the other thing, is if you're planning ahead, there are ways to protect your assets. But you need to speak with an elder law attorney, somebody who's specializing in these kinds of plans, to see what works best for you and your family. And for me, I don't have an opinion in it. There's no right or wrong answer. There are many people who have saved their whole life, and they said, I have saved my whole life to pass down something to my children. And there are people who have saved their whole life and said, I'm saving for a rainy day, and it's raining, and I'm writing a check. It's an individual choice. And that is something that you want to have a conversation with your family. And the other thing that's really important, if there's any caregivers in the room, that you have an honest conversation with your family members about what you can and cannot provide. Caregiver burnout is a real thing. It can be really hard to take care of someone. And if we are the care recipient, that's also something for us to be aware of. If you are caring for someone with dementia, which is not uncommon these days and is expected to actually increase in the future, dementia is one of the leading causes of elder abuse. Because it's really hard when the person you love doesn't remember who you are. They don't remember that maybe they already had lunch and they're asking you for lunch for the 5th time. Maybe you are, say, caring for your mom and she has dementia and she's adamant. She's going to cook you breakfast like she's always done. She's going to make you breakfast. And you're saying, no, Mom, you're not safe at the stove. You can't cook me breakfast. But I'm going to cook you breakfast. I always cook you breakfast. No, Mom, I have to get in the shower because I have to get to work. You have to stay away from the stove. And yet they keep going to the stove. And they keep going to the stove. And you're so like, I just need to take a shower and get ready for work. And then I can drop you off at the Adult Day Health at your program. I have this soft, fuzzy tie on my bathrobe. Mom, just sit here in the chair. I'm just going to make sure you stay safe. And it's not something that's done with malice, but you've tied your mom to a chair. And you're not doing it to be mean. You're doing it to try to keep her safe, but it doesn't make it okay. And so it's really important that we have honest conversations about what we can and cannot do. Maybe it's a situation where Dad is adamant he's going to work today. And the police have found him down the street a couple of times and brought him home, and you're really worried. These are real things that are happening in our communities every day. And so it's really important to have honest conversations about what you can and cannot do and reach out for help. And one of the things that I think is absolutely beautiful about this parish is you do a lot of community outreach. And you don't necessarily think about what it means to be a supportive person for a caregiver. So I often say to people, you can go support the caregiver. I can't help Bob get in the shower or go to the bathroom. I can't do that. You don't have to. I don't know what to do with Mary. I can't go help. Yeah, you can. You know what caregiver support can look like? Caregiver support can look like, I'm going to sit with Bob while you go to church today. I'm going to sit with Mary, and I'm going to bring some laundry that needs to be folded. I'm on my way. I'm over at Best Eaton. How do you take your coffee? And you just go and visit. It changes the dynamic between the caregiver and the care recipient. And it doesn't have to be hands-on. It's that social connectedness, that social capital. And when the Father talks about do unto others as you want done unto you, think about if that were you. Would you want someone to come in and interact with you? Would you want someone to come in and bring your loved one a cup of coffee? It doesn't have to be a big, grand thing. Big, grand things are lovely. When somebody has a crisis in their house and you set up a meal delivery system, that is awesome. But it's usually something that's going to be short-term. And big, grand things are awesome and short-term, but it's really hard to sustain them. Where if you say, yeah, I can stop by on Wednesday, and I'm just going to bring you a coffee. I don't have to cook. I don't have to worry about going to the grocery store. Simple. And that's caregiver support too. That's important because that kind of lowers the temperature when that caregiver's really frustrated. When that caregiver's just like, I just want 30 minutes to flip through the magazine that has been sitting on my table for the last month. I just want to go shut my eyes and know that my loved one's going to be okay. I just need somebody to go talk to him about spring training in baseball because I don't get it. Those things count. And those are things that we can all do. And if someone does go to long-term care, you can go in and visit. They are open for visits. And you can go in and have a conversation, and bring a coffee, There's an organization, as a matter of fact, right now called the Italian American War Veterans. And what John is the commander of the Italian American War Veterans. He's putting together coffee hours in the community, as well as in long-term care for veterans. It's a great opportunity to give back to those who serve. So that's just like a little aside. Now, if you have a loved one in long-term care, and maybe it's going great, let the facility know. If they're in long-term care, and there's things that are maybe not so great, let the facility know. If there's something that is something that maybe your loved one wants changed. Here's an example. Maybe Martha, her room is at the end of the hall. And Martha says, every day, my dinner is cold by the time it gets to me. I get it. Like they start serving the trays at the beginning of the hallway and I'm over here at the end. Well, ask. Can I help you have a conversation about that? Okay. And so you talk to maybe the person in dietary and say, yeah, every day meals are cold by the time they get to the end of the hall. Can we work on that? And in all probability, these are real human beings who are working in long-term care who have been there through a traumatic crisis. They're there because they want to be. They're not getting some huge sum of money, so they want to take care of their loved ones. And so you let them know, meals are arriving kind of cold. Oh, we can take care of that. We can fix it. If you find that there's resistance, you can call the Long-Term Care Ombudsman. The Long-Term Care Ombudsman here in Rhode Island is at the Alliance for Better Long-Term Care. And they'll come in and meet with your loved one and work to resolve the problems. The Long-Term Care Ombudsman program is in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, and Guam. So you have Aunt Edna in Idaho, who, Uncle John's having trouble. Aunt Edna in Idaho has an ombudsman who will work to resolve those issues. If it's something that you suspect is really not right with the facility, you can call the Rhode Island Department of Health Facilities Regulation 401-222-5200 and let the Department of Health know, and they will come out. But it's by taking all of these steps, from managing your medication, to putting in the grab bars, to having conversations and creating social support networks with your faith community, with your community at large. These are the things that are going to help you remain independent as you age. I could tell you, you might be eligible for home and community-based services through Medicaid, or you can call a home care agency, and those things are true. What is also true is right now we're facing an extraordinary healthcare workforce shortage. So it's going to take all of us working together to keep all of us as independent as possible as we age. So I'm trying to be mindful of the time and not go over too much, but I want to make sure that I address the questions that people have, but I'm also mindful that we are being recorded. So if people have questions that they want to ask and they're okay, I can maybe move a little bit so that you're not shown on camera, but I want to answer your questions if you might have them. Yes, in the back.
So what do you think about long-term care insurance?
Long-term care insurance started, I believe, in the mid-80s. A lot of the actuaries did not plan well for our added longevity. And sometimes the premiums can be quite high. So say, for example, your premium is $3,000 a month. If you're going to pay $10,000 a month for the nursing home, $3,000 isn't such a bad deal. So it really is dependent on what works best for you and your family. It's also really important that if you have long-term care insurance, read your policy. Because a lot of times the long-term care insurance companies will help you modify your house so that you can stay at home. Their goal is to keep you home. Because from a business standpoint, it's less expensive for you to age in place for all involved. So they may cover those grab bars, or to have a ramp put in, or an elevator, or a stair glider put on, because that's what's going to keep you safe at home for a lot less money. So it is what works for you. The younger you are when you get it, the less expensive it is. So lots of things to think about. You had a question?
Well, that's probably a stupid one, but
No stupid questions.
does the government still take taxes for long-term care?
No, depends. Now, I can't offer specific tax advice, but if you are Medicaid eligible, your income is most likely low enough that you probably don't owe any taxes. If you are their private pay, that is certainly possible. You want to talk to your tax advisor. The other thing that a lot of folks don't realize is if you are paying for someone else, you may be eligible to claim that other individual as a dependent. So that's something you want to talk to your tax advisor, your accountant about. Because I can't offer financial advice, but it's things like that to think about. And you had a question?
Yes, the long-term care ombudsman,
Yes.
are they state employees in Rhode Island?
In Rhode Island.
Deb, can I ask you to repeat the question so that we've
Oh,
got it?
yes. So the question was, are the long-term care employees state employees in Rhode Island? And the answer is no. The
ombudsman, he's not a state employee?
Correct, she is not. The state, I used to train on this. So the federal money for the long-term care ombudsman program comes into the Office of Healthy Aging. The Office of Healthy Aging contracts with the Alliance for Better Long-Term Care to provide the long-term care ombudsman program. So the Alliance is actually the one who employs the long-term care ombudsman. They're a nonprofit. So another fun thing that no one's actually asked about, if you happen to be caring for someone with dementia, the old school way of thinking was to orient them to date, time, and place. That is not what is recommended currently. Be with them where they are. So, for example, lovely gentleman I met, I think he was probably in his late 70s. He had some pretty advanced dementia. And I'm talking to him, and as far as he's concerned, he's a junior in high school. I too am a junior in high school. What do you think about going to the dance? How about the basketball game? Did you get a date yet? What if you go into prom and you don't get asked? Sometimes individuals will think about, I want to go home. And that can be really hard for a caregiver because you're like, Mom, you've lived here for 50 years. This is your home. No. Because they may be thinking of what it was like when they were a kid. I have to go home. My mom's going to worry about me. Be where they are. It's okay. Mom's out grocery shopping with her friend. You're safe here. How about we get a snack? How about we go do this activity? It's okay. Because when somebody with dementia wants to go home, think about all the things that make up home to you. So if you go away on vacation, you will sleep in a fabulous bed and have top quality sheets and wonderful pillows. But it's not your bed, and you know it. All those things that make up home. You can get up in the middle of the night without turning on the lights and find your way to the kitchen and get out a glass and get yourself a glass of water. Because that is in your brain. You retain that, and that is home. The smell of home. The feel of home. It gives you that sense of comfort and peace because it's familiar. And unfortunately, dementia robs people of that. So they don't have that same sense of familiarity. And you will have folks who maybe want to go home, and what they're really saying is, I'm scared. I don't recognize any of this. This is not familiar to me anymore. And that can happen with their loved ones too. And it's not personal. And if you're working with someone or have a loved one with dementia, keep in mind that it is not personal, that they don't remember your name or they're calling you by their sister's name. That's who you will be that day. And as much as we may talk about not lying and being truthful and all of that in our faith practices, there's a greater good when you are with that person where they are. And it gives them that comfort and that peace. And that's a much better way of doing unto others, as you would have done unto you, to give someone that peace. That's all that we want. To look after each other, to be cared for, to be loved, to feel comfortable. And so it's all of these steps that we can take individually to maintain our independence and to help others maintain their independence as well. So if you guys have any questions, raise your hand. If not, I can have the camera stop and I can hang out. Yeah, Tam?
Could you go over the event that's coming up on May 18th and invite them to that, because that will also
Thank
be
you, Tammy.
yes, very, very useful.
So one thing I'm really bad about is self-promotion. So RA Elder Info and the Pastoral Care Commission will be hosting here in the church on May 18th, 3 to 5, a senior and caregiver resource fair. There will be organizations that address every single topic I talked about today. They will be here to answer questions. It is open to the entire community. We've got the Pawcatuck Neighborhood Association coming in. The Senior Center will be here. We'll have the Veterans Benefits Administration here. Social Security will be here. I'm trying to think of the list. There's a list.
There is. It's on.
Yep.
It's been on the website and on the e-blast. It's got a list of all the reps that will be coming that day, and I think Deb's even added more to that
Yes.
list than we have listed.
What day is that? What day is May 18th?
It's a Thursday.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Will there be any legal representation?
Yes, one of an elder law attorney, Attorney Josh Shroka, will be here to answer questions. Obviously, it would not be like a full consult because those things need to be done in confidence. But he will be able to answer some questions for the attendees because that's really important. Also, if you're looking for information, you can always visit raelderinfo.com. We're a nonprofit. We're not trying to sell you anything. We have a newsletter that goes out every Friday. I write it myself. The grammar and punctuation is really my own mistakes. And every Friday at 9 a.m. we run a live stream where I interview different folks from around the state that people need to know about. So in May, we're really focused because May is both Older Americans Month and Mental Health Awareness Month. We are doing a lot of interviews around that, from Director Samini to Just Ask Aphasia Stroke Knowledge to Kimberly Ferranti with the Providence VA Medical Center around suicide prevention, overdose prevention. So every Friday, 9 a.m., it is recorded. It is through these online platforms that I had the wonderful opportunity to meet Father Sunil. So it does work, it's free, it's easy. Please come in person, tell your friends, tell your family, because I'm confident that you all know someone who needs the information that we're going to have there that day. So tell everybody, if you're going to work, community center, any other groups that you might be aware of, just tell them to come. It's free. You don't have to be a member of the parish. Just come. Any other questions? I thank you. Yes?
Thanks for mentioning about falling down, breaking your hip. Because when I got into my 50s,
Yep.
I realized you have to be careful. That's something I'm afraid of, falling down and breaking my hip.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's you have to deal with it on a daily basis all the time, keep your balance. That's something I really worry about.
Yeah, preventing falls, like that's one of the number one things. So it's really important. And it's just statistical probability because of the way we land, but it could be a wrist, it could be a shoulder, it could be, God forbid, a head injury. You know, that's one of the top things to do, but we never talk about it. Like, we're all like, all right, yeah, no, don't trip over the cords, pick up the rugs, those kinds of things. But yeah, fall prevention. Yeah.
Well, I learned because I did fall this winter, but I had my both hands on the tray in front of me, and I slipped.
Yeah.
Backwards, and I really hurt myself. I didn't break anything, but and I learned that you must always have a free hand.
Exactly. Well, I am so grateful that you guys allowed me to come speak today. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And I do hope to see you all back on May 18th, because that's going to really be amazing, and you'll be able to have opportunities to do so.
And it sounds like it's relevant, not just for Rhode Island, but.
Yes.
Well, yeah, she's trying to get